Is trashy black culture finally on its deathbed? And are black women finally tired of losing the masculina plot? Hey everyone, Chloe here, and welcome back to my feminine platform, and welcome back to my channel. And if you are a new subscriber to this soft power community, then hello and hi and welcome. So before I get started, for house cleaning purposes, if you are offended by progressive or elevated conversations, or if you are offended by being told to clean up your own backyard, then this video is not for you. If you are interested in upholding damaging images and damaging status quo tropes that come with their own devastating consequences, then this video is not for you. And if you are a ratchet or a dusty who would like to begin the process of course, correcting your mindset, there are a ton of videos on this platform that you can listen to and take notes from to change the direction of your life when you are ready to grow, mature, and evolve. Now, of course, I'm going to begin by sharing my Captain Obvious thoughts on this Ralph Lauren collection. And for those of you who follow me on IG, I already shared my thoughts on this beautifully shot campaign that was designed by the African-American designer and Morehouse graduate, James M. Jeter, that features the historically black community of Oak Bluffs that lives within Martha's Vineyard. And if you've ever read the feminine book club pick Our Kind of People, you would already know that black culture has always historically had wealthy, well-to-do, highly educated, privileged, and stable societies for hundreds of years that are rooted in dignity, pride, intellect, grace, sophistication, and beauty. And contrary to popular belief, just because someone has never struggled does not automatically mean that they are stuck up. And contrary to popular belief, not everyone from these communities will slam the door shut behind them, as there are plenty of people from these communities who have always bridged the gap and who have given back and will continue to do so.
We love to say representation matters, but does it only matter if it represents your life? Let's talk about the Ralph Lauren Oak Bluffs capsule collection controversy. I've been getting dozens of comments on my videos and even texts from people telling me to talk about this and my thoughts. And to be honest, I wasn't going to make the video because I just don't really have thoughts, because it's yeah, people were mad. But what I do find interesting is that this controversy and all the comments around it are mirroring the comments I got on these two videos where people could not believe that I lived the life that I did. Like I mentioned in other videos, it violates people's frame of reference for someone to come from this background. Go to Jack and Jill, go to private school or elite institutions, have a socioeconomic circle that's all upper class. But just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and it's important to have representation across all different walks of life. Something I'll end with that I think is just an important takeaway, because like I said, I didn't really want to talk about this anyway, but if I'm here, I'm here. But there were a lot of comments saying that this campaign was elitist, classist. I hate to break it to you guys, but race, class, and sex all exist, and even though we don't talk about them, they are actually dictating most things in life. So nobody's saying the system is fair. We all know it's rigged, but it doesn't change the fact that it's some people's reality.
I'm sorry, but getting on the internet and being upset about the Oak Bluffs collection from Polo Ralph Lauren with Spelman and Morehouse lets me know that you need to do the internal work to unpack why the personification of Black wealth makes you uncomfortable. A lot of people don't like to acknowledge the fact that Black wealthy people exist. And I'm talking about wealthy people who exist outside of the entertainment industry or sports. I'm talking about people who are presidents, CEOs, partners, who have built immense generational wealth for their families, who engage with brands like Ralph Lauren the way in which is depicted in their new collection. I saw someone say that they know for a fact that no Black people were wearing Ralph Lauren like that. And I said that's not true, because I know people who have worn the brand like that, who I myself have bought things and worn the brand in that way. So are you going to tell me that I'm not Black, or my lived experience as a Black person is not valid because I didn't grow up in the same socioeconomic status as you, or because I didn't engage with certain brands the same way that you? No, you can't tell me that. In fact, I did have some people say that it's less valid because, Black culture is rooted in hood aesthetics, which I thought was extremely problematic. I think that that is a subset of Black culture, but that is not all of Black culture.
So the optics and this representation has been long overdue, and the internet reaction to this collection has clearly shown that the people are ready for the image pendulum to swing the other way on a larger scale. And because there is so much radioactive Tubi TV and storyline secured mind rot and highly flammable YN energy shoved and forced down our throats, it is absolutely refreshing to know that the algorithm is finally paying attention to an elevated black market that is hungry for classy, sophisticated, and aspirational blackness, and I am all the way here for it. But for some reason, the timing behind the second launching of this beautifully shot campaign and collection that told a very refreshing and a much needed reset ruffled some insecure feathers and triggered boring calls of classism, elitism, boule, snottiness, and bouginess. And in the past, this name calling and the demonization of black success might have scared the black folks who are accomplished, educated, well to do, who are the privileged Jack and Jills of the world, or even the people who come from humble beginnings who did the work to break their family's generational curse, to make something out of themselves. In the past, these accusations of elitism to push back and to shame accomplished people and to make them cower in fear of being proud of their success or of their family's success or of even being called diet black. Those accusations would have worked very effectively in the past. But this time around, things seem to be different, and mocking people for doing the right thing is officially played out.
Time is up for trashy black culture. We are no longer going to sit around while a certain subsection of the community degrades our community, destroy our ancestors' legacy, and our children's future. And yes, YNs, BMs, and the ratchets, I am talking to you. And calling us names to silence the truth, it's not going to work anymore. You guys think that you're going to continue to disrespect our culture, push dysfunction, and distort what it is to be black? I think not. It's dead. And the victim mentality and blaming white people, yeah, that's also dead. We are no longer going to define black culture by celebrity worship, degrading music, baby mama culture, chaos, and materialism. That is dead as well. Actually, you guys are losers. We are in the era of accountability, and if you're not uplifting the culture or providing something beneficial or, raising the consciousness of the community, you are dead weight. The community is done protecting dysfunction and criminals. Honestly, we just don't want to be associated with it anymore. And for all of you so-called black leaders, celebrities, and influencers that push this dysfunction knowingly to enrich yourselves, you guys are the biggest losers of all. Quite frankly, you're disgusting. The degradation and the weaponization of black culture is dead. And I'm going to continue to speak up about it until I see a difference in our culture.
Now, let me first start by saying that there is nothing wrong with being born poor or from coming from humble beginnings. I personally come from very, very humble beginnings myself. So poverty isn't anything to be ashamed or embarrassed about, especially as a black person and especially with our unique historical background as an aggressively marginalized and disenfranchised group. But what has been overdone is the centering and the celebration of toxic dysfunction, often at the optics of the black community's expense and detriment. So we definitely are at a crossroads and are at a fork in the road in the conversation of where do we all go from here, especially as it pertains to visibility politics, and especially as it pertains to class, femininity, hypergamy, and social climbing. Because quite frankly, let me remind you all that the femininity movement, especially amongst black women, is not a trend and is not some toothpaste that can be put back in the tube. Because quite frankly, black women as a group are no longer interested in doing all of the masculina heavy lifting or in being applauded for being the face of strength. So those act like a man days are definitely over, especially for the generations of women who are coming up behind us. We want to be wives, we want marriage, we want healthy babies, we want to frolic in gardens, and we want financial stability just like every other woman on planet Earth. And we are not ever hustling backwards to the dark days of directionless men and the programming of struggle love and dumpster diving for men in struggle ponds. So as far as culture is concerned, how much longer can we go to the well of dead rappers and gun violence and stripper culture in our music? How much more will it take before the centered and catered to horse of dysfunction is completely beaten to death? And what exactly is the party on centering and mainstreaming disaster culture going to finally die. Honestly, it was only a matter of time before we hit this saturation point of digesting ratchet and Glocktavius culture to the point of utter sickness. And now we are literally here, and it appears that ghetto fatigue has finally set in, where we are exhausted and are super drained by the damaging, trashy representation, and we are tired of seeing the worst and the bottom aspects of Black culture running the show. And in the past, there have been many attempts to shame the trashy aspects of Black culture, and they have equally pushed back on defending their toxic dysfunction while their losses keep piling up. But this time around, more and more Black people are waking up from the devastating consequences that have come with absorbing these lower frequency energies for decades. And this time around, people's patience is wearing thin, and their grace and their sympathy is waning. And I think people are sick to their stomachs of the immaturity, the disorder, and the chaos that comes with glorifying and platforming bad behavior and calling it culture. Now, as a femininity leader, I personally believe that Black women reclaiming their feminine divine has been a long overdue spiritual shift and has been the best energetic reset that the Black community has seen since the civil rights movement, because it restores our collective need for softness, and it restores the order where men who are not leading their families are going to have to take a long look in the mirror. And if we're being honest, Black culture has been way out of line and way out of order for a very long time. And like a member in my private group, The New Feminine, beautifully wrote, Megan getting shot, Carisha getting peed on by the diddler, Nikki marrying and elevating a rapist, and the newly minted baby mamas Sky Jackson and Halle Bailey are a few public examples of where the glorification of ratchet gets you. Absolutely nowhere. Meanwhile, Normani and Coco Jones are engaged to 8-figure men who are both unproblematic, so the better lifestyle of the two couldn't be more glaring. I pray that we continue to nurture this newfound desire for elevation as a whole. The ones that want to remain low vibrational can stay down there with Boosie in them. So that is all that I have to say on this for now, but to keep the conversation going, is there a collective awakening happening that has been long overdue? Is it a crime to be bougie? Will you ever go back to being a masculine woman? And finally, is the course correction movement a spiritual one, and is it here to stay? Or will Black culture defend its right to remain stuck and stagnant? And as always, I thank you for liking, for sharing, and for subscribing to the content on this channel. And please stay tuned for more videos to come, and I will catch up with you ladies and lurkers and ear hustlers in the next one.
The second collection is based off Oak Bluff, the only section in Martha's Vineyard where Black people can gather and do their thing. Cool. I don't give a fuck about none of that.
Oak Bluff was one of the places in America where Black people feel safe. Probably still to this day, where Black people feel safe and they could escape the racism for a brief moment of time. And you just say you don't give a F about none of that. Not every Black American grew up in poverty. Not every Black American grew up in the struggle. Not every Black American has the same experience. Black Americans are not monolithic, and you are doing exactly what the oppressors are doing. I feel extremely bad for Black men trying to understand topics and express their feelings, because they fall into white supremacy so fast and they don't even realize it. And then you say that Black people stole their style. Stole it from who? Black excellence, you want to call it Black elitism or Black dandyism, was created by Black people. We took rags and turned them into riches, just like we do with everything else. And if Ralph Lauren was what took it upon himself to showcase the negative side of Black Americans, then you will still be outraged. At least he's trying to show something historically Black and respectful, and you can't be mad about that. And if you feel so offended by it, for once, close your mouth and do something for your people yourself. It's just that simple.